guys, welcome to my channel. For today's video, I will be sharing with you how I do portrait paintings like this, and this using watercolor. During the process, you'll be hearing my voice or the chickens or my dogs or maybe other people in the background. So yeah, bear with me. This will be a two-part series, and in this first episode, I will be sharing with you the supplies that I'm currently using and how I achieve my most used watercolor techniques. By no means is this the only way to achieve beautiful paintings. This is just my way and it works for me. And now, the supplies. First is mixed media paper or watercolor paper. I would recommend getting a 300 GSM because it could handle more water, especially on wet techniques. But this is just what's available right now, and so far, it's been working for me. I always use 2 jars or cups or whatever is available. I fill it with water, both for cleaning my brushes. One is for dirty water and paint, and the other one is for clean water. Pencils and watercolor brushes, you don't really need too many. A few will do. And of course, paint. It comes either in tubes or pans, but for starters, I recommend getting this Prang watercolor set. It also comes in 8 colors, perfect for beginners. But I'm using these watercolor tubes from Pebeo. It's more expensive than Prang, but cheaper in the long run. Next is mixing palettes. For years, I've been using this small round palette together with the lid of my Prang watercolor set and also this tin cup for extra mixes. But I recently purchased this. I forgot the brand though. I just fill the wells with paint and it has seals on the side, great for storage. And I just activate the paint again with water whenever I feel like painting. And what I really loved about this is I now have lots of mixing areas to work with. Next, I grab a tissue paper, a piece of cloth, or a scrap watercolor paper. I use this to remove excess water from my brush and in sampling mixes before applying paint to my work. And lastly, masking tape to stretch my paper. I made it my habit to always run those tapes on my clothes before applying them, just so I won't have any problems peeling them off later. I've divided my paper into several parts to achieve a cleaner finish. And now, I can start painting. First, I'll do the wet on wet technique. First, apply a generous amount of water. Then, I'll apply some paint. And there, that is the fanning effect of wet on wet technique. I usually use this for backgrounds and negative spaces. The key here is to work while the paint is still wet to achieve that blurred gradient effect. Next is wet on dry. So on wet on dry technique, I'll simply apply paint on a dry area. And notice how it stays, unlike in wet on wet. That's because watercolor only bleeds on wet surface. I use this technique to create lines, solid shapes, and fine details on my paintings. Next is dry brushing. Using a tissue paper or a piece of cloth, I remove excess water from my brush before applying the paint and see how it gives that textured effect. So in comparison, wet on dry gives you that solid washed color, whereas in dry brushing, you get that grainy effect. I'm using a round brush for this video, but different brush gives you different effects, also depending on the amount of paint and water you apply to your brush. This is actually my favorite technique in painting landscapes because I can easily achieve that natural look on the leaves. This is also the same technique I use in one of my videos. If you haven't seen this yet, I'll put a link in the description below. And another way of doing this is by tilting your round brush to the side and with a very light stroke. And by doing so, you can achieve the same effect without literally drying your brush. The key here is to always experiment on a different paper before applying this technique to your work. Next is layering. So in layering, I just want to be able to paint on top of another layer of paint without damaging or bleeding the layers of paint below. You can have as many or as little layers as you like. Just keep in mind to always wait for the paint to dry before creating a new layer. I will show you next how I do my gradient washes. I first apply a generous amount of paint in a small area, then clean my brush and gently pull some paint outward, creating that smooth gradient effect. I'll continue working while the paint is wet until I'm satisfied with the result. I use this technique particularly on skins because this gives me that smooth transition of colors. You don't necessarily need to pull in one direction only. You can work your brush around or whichever direction you want until you achieve that effect you're looking for. Again, apply paint, clean brush, remove excess water, then pull some paint outward. The key here is to always remove excess water every time you clean your brush to easily control the paint. And always clean your brush every time you switch to a different color to achieve those vibrant colors, especially on lighter shades. You'll know it's clean if there are no color bleeds on your tissue paper. And take note how I remove excess water on my brush before every application. It's just a matter of personal preference. I personally tend to dip my brush a lot, plus it holds a lot more water than the ones I've used in the past. So yeah, I guess this works for me. In college, our teacher never really taught us how to do all these techniques because it's always a surprise exam in our visual architecture class every single time. And part of it was figuring out to ourselves how to achieve those techniques and create our own style. So it's always very daunting to start, knowing you might make a mistake and you know you can't erase watercolor once it's painted. But yes, with a clean brush and tissue paper, you can actually erase those mistakes. Well, at least immediately after, while the paint is still active. Another way of doing this, while the paint is still wet, grab a dry, clean brush and gently lift those pigments up. giving you fine details or beautiful highlights. And we're done with the basics. These are just some of countless watercolor techniques out there. Honestly, I never really liked watercolor before, maybe because it's too intimidating to use. We were just required in college to use it in our major subjects. Frustrating at first, but once I got the hang of it, I started developing my own style and incorporate those techniques, resulting to better grades in school before and now in my artworks as a profession. And that's it for the first part on how I use watercolor in my painting. Feel free to take anything that could be useful for you. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for updates on my latest videos. Thanks for stopping by and keep growing. See you in my next video.